Fellas, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really care about story. I don't care about the seasonal 6-player activities, although they are fun. The only thing I really got hyped for, season after season, were ritual and pinnacle weapons. Ritual and pinnacle weapons. Now in Shadowkeep, we had to downgrade. We went from beautiful pinnacle weapons with unique perks found on Recluse, Not Forgotten, Luna's Howl, Wendigo, and then all of a sudden had to downgrade to ritual weapons. Despite it being a downgrade, it still brought about excitement, right? Randy isn't the best weapon in the game, but it's got a couple unique perks that makes it pretty good. But what Rituals was supposed to present was a perk combination that couldn't be found on any other weapon. Not gonna lie, that's a whole bunch of bullshit. I can think of a million trait combinations that you have never seen on other weapons. You wanna see what kill clip and multi-kill clip can do together? Boom, ritual weapon. I would say that for the most part, ritual weapons were just like, good, well-rolled weapons that you can simply get by just participating in that playlist. No, it wasn't anything as unique as Pinnacles, but it gave life to the core activities. Strikes, Crucible, Gambit. It gave you a seasonal grind that you didn't have to get the first day, but over the course of many weeks can work your way to obtaining that ritual weapon. Now here recently, Luke Smith came out. He had the director's cut, very insightful, but the biggest takeaway probably from that entire director's cut is the fact that weapons will have a finite date, meaning they will be sunset in the future. I think he said somewhere around 9 to 12 months, maybe 15 months. Now what sunset means is at some point in the near future, with periodically power raises, that weapon will be capped in power. You can still use it in activities that aren't really power dependent, but considering that Trials is going to be power enabled, Ironbender is power enabled, and any future PvE content is always power dependent, these weapons have a finite date. Now, I actually took two things away from this. Number one, I was like, okay, this could actually be Bungie's way of balancing things. Recluse was overpowered for almost a year. Essentially, by the time we got a Sandbox update to bring it into balance, in this new world of sunsetting weapons, it would have been sunset, left behind. So immediately, I started jumping to conclusions. Okay, I'm bad about it, fellas. I jumped to conclusions. I was like, okay, the reason why they're doing this is they're actually about to surprise us in Season 10. In Season of the Worthy, we're actually about to get pinnacle weapons back because Bungie has found a way to make weapons super powerful, and even if they do bust up the Sandbox, it'll only be for a second. Now, I know a year is like more than a second, but that was my thought process. Instead, upon loading up in Season of the Worthy yesterday, we came to the sad realization that Pinnacles did not return. But even more depressing than that, ritual weapons did not return. You heard that right. Basic ritual weapons did not return, which stunned me. I know we're in the midst of all the new content, new loot. We've got Trials right around the corner. And I'm not going to say this completely ruins this season, but it does put all the eggs into one basket, which was like the one thing I didn't want Bungie to do here with Trials. It almost reminds me of when D2 launched. Like Bungie did all these things with the double primary system, the increase there in time to kill value. They were really banking on Destiny somehow becoming this super competitive first-person shooter, and Trials absolutely taking over the directory. And I'm not saying that's not going to happen now, but my God, you're already putting a lot of stress on a game mode that hasn't really been well received since Destiny 1. It's gonna pop, trust me, it's gonna pop, at least for the first few weeks. But the fact that we don't have any ritual weapons this season, or any type of return of pinnacle weapons, with the news of sunsetting weapons recently revealed to us, makes everyone put their eyes now on the new trial weapons, thus putting a lot of pressure on the success of Trials. Now, the reason for leaving behind pinnacle weapons made sense. I didn't like it. I thought the flavor that it brought to the game was extremely nice, and there was ways you could have brought pinnacles to the game without them being outright overpowered. Wendigo, perfect example. It's balanced, man. Yes, DPS wise, it exceeds other grenade launchers, but only for the first 6 shots with explosive light active. After that, other grenade launchers could surpass it. So you have to make a decision. Should I use Wendigo and get the most DPS up front, or should I just use another grenade launcher? The associations with pinnacles being too powerful, weapons like Luna's Howl, Not Forgotten, Recluse, in their current form, I think they're still strong and very much balanced. Had they been presented to us in the way they are now, especially Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten, I think it would have been better received by the community, and on top of that, it would have still stayed unique. Now granted, Magnificent Howl on Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten is not perfect. I know I just said those weapons are perfect, I mean, from an archetype standpoint, considering they used to be 180s, they used to 3-tap at that point, the shift down in rounds per minute to 150, that's what really brought that weapon into balance. I still think Magnificent How should increase that precision damage, but it's whatever, because Bungie has a really bad way of overcompensating when dealing with weapons. When something's too powerful, they don't just go out there and cut a finger off. They take the whole arm, man, and a leg. But on some level, I understood why Pinnacles were being retired. Ultimately, I think not only did they cause an issue of balance, but at the same time, I think Bungie just ran out of ideas. I mean, let's just be real. Pretty damn unique. All of them. All previous Pinnacle weapons. But then came the birth of Rituals. Rituals essentially replaced Pinnacles for that core activity grind with some static trait combinations that made it a decent weapon. Wasn't overpowered. More or less, I felt like Rituals were just good weapons for those that just didn't want to depend on grinding any RNG related activity. You could farm Menagerie all day long and not get that god roll based on RNG. But you could also spend the same amount of time getting shotgun kills inside of Gambit and get a Python. You see what I'm saying? No, Python isn't the best weapon, but it's still a good weapon. And on top of that, you're guaranteed to get that static roll by simply dedicating a certain amount of time to that playlist activity. Now, we've gone through every single weapon that's been brought to us this season. We covered it today, going over the different roles to look for. I think out of all the weapons we've seen, maybe 4 or 5 of them are new weapons. Not many new ones, guys. A lot of returning weapons. And this is kind of like something Bungie's been doing for a while, which I think we're okay with. Or at least I'm okay with it. It's only when we start to see other things being affected, such as ritual weapons being left behind, that it starts to become somewhat of a concern for me. Because I don't fall into the whole recycled content thing. But even our trial weapons are returning trial weapons from Destiny 1. Not saying they're not unique. They have some different takes on them. Celerity, which is a new perk brought to us in this game, which is like a more lethal version of Last Resort. But even at that, guys, I have a hard time understanding why in this season, when it seems like so many weapons have been brought back to us, why we couldn't get new ritual weapons. It just doesn't make sense to me. And what's so concerning here is that the association that people make with this season, whether they think it's good or bad, that association will probably be pulled towards trials, which is what we really didn't want. That puts a lot of pressure on trials. As of right now, the only saving grace to all of this is possibly adept weapons. I have not seen adept weapons yet, and again, those are weapons you get for going flawless. They usually have a unique perk. After looking at the different weapons though, I think that those weapons, being adept, are probably just gonna have something like celerity intrinsically, but there could be another unique factor about them. Either way it goes, so far this season, I would say the biggest bummer to me is the fact that ritual weapons were not included. Now granted, ritual weapons have been getting worse, all right? From Shadowkeep to Season of Dawn. I mean, let's be real. How many of us are using Komodo? So maybe, just maybe, Bungie is in the process of possibly making Pinnacles. Maybe they are going to be bringing that back, considering that sunsetting weapons is going to be a thing. And maybe they just needed a season to give them some breathing room to get back in there and start making these unique weapons. That's a lot of maybes though. Either way it goes, hopefully we'll hear something from Bungie about this. Is this going to ruin the season? No, it's not. It just puts more pressure on Trials of Osiris. And if Trials of Osiris comes out this Friday and it's crap, well, okay, then it's ruined, yeah. I mean, there's no other way around it. If Trials comes out this Friday and there's no adept weapons, hands down, I will be able to stamp Season of the Worthy and say, this is ass. But surely not, right? I mean, we're gonna get adept weapons. Come on. There's no way in hell Trials of Osiris can be brought back to us without flawless adept weapons. If you did that, Bungie, if you did that, my God, we got deeper problems. This goes way further than ritual or Pinnacles. Well, fellas, that is my thoughts on it. Just kind of wanted to give you an update on what's happening. Some of you were getting confused. Had a few tweets yesterday. A couple of gents were actually saying that maybe they broke their game. They didn't see a ritual quest. No, you didn't do anything, bro. They're just not there. We don't have them this season. DMG did say, though, that they are looking into it and specifically posted ritual weapons at the top. If the TWAB comes out tomorrow and they're just like, hey, you know what? We didn't include ritual weapons because we're actually working on Pinnacle weapons for the upcoming season, considering that sunsetting is now going to be a thing, which I am completely down with. Bungie, that would be the answer of the year right there. But just remember, that answer will be completely dwarfed if we do not have adept weapons. I cannot stress how important adept weapons is. I go to sleep at night saying the words adept weapons. It is the most important thing. Okay, that's it. Fellas and ladies, a Dire Promise review will be out later today. Just letting you know. That's the gameplay you're seeing there. This hand cannon slaps, baby. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.